Hello guys, how are you? Today we have here this beautiful Alfa 159. I just did here the timing belt, the cam belt of this engine. The video will be down on the description so you to see if you want to, okay? I also had here some oil leaks that are also on that timing belt video, okay? Now the next step is to see a DPF problem. Yes, I know many of you say just delete it, but wait, what caused the problem of the DPF? Because if it is happening that, it is because something is wrong, something is clogging the DPF, regenerating at every 31 kilometers. That's nothing. It has to do 300 or 400 kilometers at a time. So even if I remove the DPF, I still have what caused the problem of that, okay? So I already did some things over here when I was doing the video of the timing belt. I found some things, but I want to save that for this video. As you may know, every time you have a problem on the DPF, you have to see, by the way, I have a very complete video for that down on the description explaining how it works and whatnot. But basically, you have to see the aspiration of the air, the compression of the air, the control of the pressurized air, and also the control of the aspirated air. And so for that, if the air is wrongly measured, if I have, for example, a problem on the GR, because I have here a very strange gasket over here, if I have a functioning DPF, I cannot modify the EGR. Possibly just that modified gasket that I talked about on the video about EGRs. It is also down on the description, but you cannot blanket all the way, okay? So let's see here what I did find on the intake side of it, and in that way see if solving those issues that are really present on this engine, if it solves the problem of the DPF. Obviously, we have to do a reset, a total reset on the DPF itself, and also maybe a force regeneration. Yeah, I'll show you how to do that with my Alfa diagnosis machine in a second. But firstly here, let's see what's happening here with some elements of the engine. And so when removing here this pipe to reach down onto the timing belt, I noticed that this pipe over here had not one, but two false intakes. This clamp over here was not present, which means that air is being sucked through this gap over here, through that resonating box and to the engine, meaning that not all the air is not being measured through the mass airflow meter. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, a big tear here on this breather pipe, which means again that air is sucked through this pipe and goes to the engine without being measured through the mass airflow meter. So that's two things, okay? So this one is very easy to repair. You just put there a clamp, normal or not, and over here I just put here some duct tape so I can do my testing without replacing right away this pipe. By the way, this pipe is available, only this section from factory, but it is a little bit expensive and the customer has a lot on his plate right now. So let's just do the testing here as it is. Taking this apart, I noticed here on the inside of the mass airflow meter a lot of dirt. That cannot be good at all, which means that at some point this intake had some problems, some leaks, possibly some accident, and some dirt was aspirated through the engine. This is no good for the engine because the inside of the pipe is completely filthy, no good for the mass airflow meter. But right now, the diagnosis that I did indicates that it is functioning correctly. For now, for that procedure, I do have a video. It is down on the description so you to see how it is done, okay? So I have to dig a little bit deeper to see if this dirt thing here is an issue, is a bigger issue that I was thinking. I also will remove here the mass airflow meter and clean it very well with brake cleaner. That is my preferred method, and leave it to dry in the sun. That is my preferred method. I can also do here something on the map sensor, because as you can saw on other videos, that also gets a little bit dirty, and just by maintenance I like to clean it. So taking here the 7mm head bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I will remove here the box for this things over here. Already did a short for this. You can follow that if you want to. Let's remove the cover and see what we find. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my God. Just look at this. Jesus Christ. I have no words for this. Yeah, possibly you can say that water did this. I don't know, guys, because when it's water, it gets all smooshy. And this one, I believe, is just very old. Very old. I'll try to see a date on this. I just believe this is lack of maintenance. Now, the aspiration of the engine was being made through this hole, which means dirt on the engine. If you start to see that the engine is starting to consume oil, it is because the piston rings and the piston ring area of the piston is gone. Dirt will eat out your piston rings like crazy. It is like sandpaper. So let's clean everything out. The cover is all with the bumblebees and dirt, and try to see if I can save this engine. But wait, there's more. I really hope I can save this airflow meter. This has two meshes, one on the outside, another on the inside. And in between the two meshes, we have a lot of bugs and leaves and dirt. Oh, this is gonna hurt. I will try to do my best to clean this out. I will have to try a bit of compressed air. I do not like to use compressed air on these devices, but I have to do what I have to do. Yeah. Afterwards, on the assembly, make sure the arrow points to the flow of the motor, airflow to the engine. Down here on the car, as we are here checking the air filter, that mess, I'm checking here the exhaust. I have a very large exhaust leak over there. That stud is broken. I have to replace it and see if I can fix this leak. What is the problem with that? Remember that you have a sensor, a back pressure sensor on your exhaust because of the DPF. This leak is before that. So if you have a leak over here, the sensor will never be able to read the correct amount of back pressure of your exhaust. And with that also give you false readings, and the calculation of the regenerations are completely off. So that being said, with or without DPF, you can never have an exhaust leak so close to the engine. This is a fire hazard because the engine is very coated in oil. Very nasty. By the way, I was able to clean the mass flow meter. Okay, kind of, yeah. And I am waiting for a air filter. In the meantime, I was able also to find some clamps for the intake hose. That's not all. There's more, yeah. You have to check out if your intercooler pipes are good. On this car, they are. But on this side, it was mended over here. Okay, it is well mended. It is correctly done. But the head of the clamp, of the second one, is biting onto the coolant pipe. Man, can't you see that when you are doing the repair? Could you not clock the clamp on other position rather than this? God, okay. So intercooler pipes are okay. I just have to clock down that clamp over there. Jesus. The next thing that is failing over here is the throttle valve. Why does a diesel engine have a throttle valve, do you ask? I already talked about that on some videos, but here's the deal. You have to have this valve to do two things. Does not have anything to do with acceleration or deceleration, but it has. Okay, on the deceleration, it closes ever so slightly to help out the EGR gases to pass through. Remember, when having a DPF working, you have to have the EGR working too, okay? The other thing that it does, and is very noticeable, is a smooth shutoff of the engine. As soon as you order the shutoff of the engine, the intake valve shuts off very rapidly. Already showed that on many videos, it is down on the description, and then that way the engine will shut off in a vacuum. That is not happening. This intake valve, this throttle valve is gone, okay? In that way, if you cannot regulate the EGR or help to regulate the EGR with this throttle valve, you will not have correct regenerations. Again, the DPF cannot work correctly. This is another problem. This problem here is present because of the massive oil leaks that were present on this engine. I believe everything that is happening on this car in terms of failure of DPF, it is because of lack of maintenance. The next thing that is failing is you have this control, this vacuum control for the position of the turbo, for the geometry. You have this feeding over here for the vacuum of this regulator, of this solenoid. This hose right here was with so much oil that was completely loose. This one is already a new one, okay? Very difficult to put in because you have here 4 millimeters and you have here 5 or 6. So the hose has to stretch a little bit and it is very difficult to put in. I have another car with that problem over here in my workplace, okay? So lack of regulation of the turbo pressures will also affect your air quantity and pressure, and in that way affect the functioning of the entire engine, in that way also of the DPF. Yeah, so for now everything is all the faults that I could find are found. I also have here a leak, a very large leak. I have an O-ring to put in. Already did that on another video I can leave down on the description. It was the video for the EGR. Yeah. So I will take out that EGR, see if that gasket is really what it is supposed to be. I have a new one to put in. See if that EGR valve is not stuck open or closed. And work with that. A lot of things here to consider when dealing with DPF problems. But you can separate this in two things. Control of air, separating into parts. Quantity of air and pressure of air. Everything that involves intake of air, you have to control very, very well. Being vacuum, pressure, intake, EGR, whatever, you have to control everything. Exhaust, it also makes part of the passageways of the air, because if the air enters the engine, it has to leave the engine too, okay? So the entire exhaust system, having DPF or not, it is the same thing. So the entire exhaust system also has to be verified, okay? So about here the exhaust and the studs and whatnot, already did a video on the exhaust leak on the manifold for these engines, well, the 16 valve. And I had there a stud broken just like this, and I was able to remove it with this. Remember that I don't have a welder to just put that a nut and take that off. Unfortunately, I do not have it, but I will try that like this. I also will retighten there those two bolts to the spent oil of the turbo. I believe it's seeping. Okay, let's try with a tightening. Well, I hope to be able to take that out, and then I have a new stud and new nut, 11 millimeter nut to put in there. I just had that in stock in here in house, but you can find this on the dealership, no issues. Very easy to find. So try to remove that. Again, the gasket, it is a metallic one. You do not need to put any paste, any exhaust paste. Nothing, it just goes in dry, okay? And you can reuse it a bunch of times. So try to get a good grip. Okay, try to rock it back and forward. But this is on steel, not like on the head, on that other video. On that other video, the stud was on the head, and the head is aluminum. It's much easier to remove. In here, possibly I have to drill it down, but I want to try like this first. Nah. No way. No way, man. That was to be... No. You really cannot ignore... I hated exhaust leaks because of the 75, but you really cannot ignore them. They really have to be flawless, the exhausts. So I'll try to do here with a file to file it down to be just... perfect on the top surface. In that way I can drill it down, possibly, maybe, let's see. Jesus Christ, this engine is filled with carbon on the exhaust. No wonder the DPF is suffering. Close but no cigar. My vice grips are not ideal, I know. They are better ones for this. Yeah, but reasons. No. Okay, I cannot take it with the vice grips, not right now at least. I'll try to, now my surface is much more straight because of the hammering. The hammering also helps out with the threading to make it more loose. Now I will try with my magic drill bit that I bought for the other job and see if I can do this. I hope so. I just took out here the briquette just to do this removal on the bench because of this exhaust leak, and I was talking to myself and thinking, wait a minute, with all of this carbon here on the heat shield, maybe I have another leak. And sure enough, yeah, this briquette was not assembled correctly. We have adjustments that we have to do on this assembly. Look at the interior of that V-clamp. So I already have a video down on the description to show you how to do the adjustment of all of this. So yes, another exhaust leak on this car. Two exhaust leaks, one over here and another one down there. I will just wash this all up and try to remove here this this stuff on the bench. It will be much easier, I believe. God. Okay, so everything is assembled. The adjustment here of the briquette is done. The briquette is washed on the outside. All the mating areas are also very clean and washed and now are in place. Okay, everything is torqued down to spec and everything is good. I did not have to use any new gaskets because these metallic ones are very, very nice. I urge you to clean everything very, okay, not very thoroughly, but a little bit better than this, so you can make sure that the issue is gone. So you can now have a area from which you can guide yourself that the problem is gone. Okay, if any smoke appears again, it will be very apparent now. Don't forget that down on the description I have a video, a very thorough video for this exact job. So check that down if you want to, if you need to. That bolt over there is missing, was missing. I have another one over here, a new one. This can lead to rattling noises and also broken areas of this heat shield. So it's very important to have all of the bolts. Sometimes maybe broken or something, but this, no, this just was not here. Okay, nice. As I was clocking here the clamps, they are good now. Do not rub on anything. I noticed that the screw for that hard pipe over here is not present, and also the ring on the inside is also not present. So I'll put a used one. This is not very nice, but I choose this one on purpose to be as stuck as possible for it not to come loose again. It's very important to have this fixation over there, because if not, you can crack this pipe. But before securing here the pipe, the hard pipe, with that bolt that I told you, it's now much cleaner now, okay? I will remove this because I want to change the seal, the O-ring, and I want to remove here the throttle body and the EGR like I told you. But let's finalize there the intake pipe with everything cleaned out to see if everything is nice. I just have to get the new air filter, already cleaned out the cover. As you can see, the cover is now much cleaner. The idea is for the water to be out of here as soon as possible. That's why I clean these covers. I'm using here the silicone grease on various places because I have to remove this again to put here the cover. I will not run the car here with the cover because I want to see the oil leaks, the possible oil leaks that the car may have, and it is quite easy to put the cover back on later. Okay, so now here on the airbox I put here this clamp. I don't have an original one for this size, but it's better than nothing. Oh my god. Over here I put some tape underneath this clamp to do a little bit more force there on the area of the turbo, not to have a oil leak over there. And here, like I told you, just a bit of tape. Over here also I was able to find a original clamp for this area. This goes to the camshaft cover, and let's just put it in. Don't forget to connect your mass airflow meter, and I hope this airflow meter survived the cleaning. Three bolts holding down here the throttle body, but we have two more over here that goes to the EGR. So don't take this out all the way, just try to see if they go. I also have to refer that this car had a very large fuel leak. Turns out the high pressure pipes that go to the injectors were loose. I was expecting a correct rail, but in fact I tried to tighten just to check the tightening of the pipes. They were all loose. Yeah, that also may affect some things. And so as you can see, we have here a blank. Cannot be. With the DPF working, cannot be. It has to be that modified one or the opened one. It has to be like this, okay? Now I am in doubt if I have a remap on this. But if they did the remap, how come they have the DPF still? Well, I'll put everything stock, everything as it should be done. I'll check out here the EGR. Already did a video for this information over here. It is down on the description. Oh my god. Okay, finding stuff. I see that this engine may have a lot of blow-by. That's why the EGR is so clogged. Problem with EGRs is really not the gases itself, it's the oil that messes everything up. If you want me to do a video for that, for the practical functioning of the EGR and consequences of it, let me know down on the comments. The intake manifold is very nice. Okay, because the EGR was deleted for some time. But yeah, cannot be. Okay, let's put everything stock for now. The most annoying part of this EGR is these two bolts over here, this one. They are 6mm ones, the Allen ones, and normally I use here this Allen key, the normal one, to try to remove them, and in this way you can carry on with the rest of this assembly. I do this first because they are very tight normally. Okay, yes they are, very common. Now I want to take out the EGR to be cleaned, right? Thoroughly cleaned and tested. Okay, some progress. They really are very annoying. By the way, to replace the thermostat on these 8-valve ones, you have to take this off, because you have to put to aside the heat exchanger for the EGR, and that requires you to do this. Well, you can do from the V-band down there, but still you need some space to reach down here some nuts and bolts. So on a future video I'll do a video for that. Okay, make sure not to lose the gasket. If the last guy remembered to put it, unlike the other EGR that I did on 147, it was not present. A pipe snapping like that means that it was forced in place. This is terrible, guys. This is terrible. Gasket, now very straightforward. Take out here the connector. Already kind of broken. 3 bolts over here, 13mm head. This bracket over here, already seen it wrongly mounted on this side also, and then they made a bracket by hand to put this little thing over here on this area. That's strange. Don't die. Taking advantage of the space, I will take out here the sensor just to be safe. Yeah, let's clean that. Completely locked in place. So the blank was not doing anything over there. Yeah. Just try to clean that out and try to reuse it. All cleaned out. Works like a charm. In fact, for this I never had to replace an EGR body, the valve body. I just cleaned them very well. And if the electrical part is working, I just reuse them. Here we have the used throttle body. I already did here the 2 bolts, the 5mm ones, and also the 13 head one there on the gearbox. Now the pipe is nice and secure. Here this pipe for the vacuum booster, it is better in this way. Okay, it will not come off in any way. It's much more simple than the zip ties that it had before. And now just put in the battery tray. Make sure to put the 3 bolts on, 1, 2, 3, and all the clips for the positive cable, for the harness of the ABS, and the harness for the control unit for the engine. Meanwhile, you want to have at least one door open, because if you have your key inside, the central lock when connecting the battery can act up and can lock your car, leaving you stranded. So always leave a door open for that. And before starting the car, we want to reconnect our diagnosis machine to see some things about the DPF, but before that, to reset some parameters about the engine. Okay, I want to say to the engine that I have a new throttle body. I want to say the engine that I have new components, even though some of them are not really new. It has to have a clean slate to start with. I'm pretty sure I will have a higher amount of back pressure of the DPF, because now the exhaust leaks are closed, are solved, and for that I will have a lot more back pressure. And I hope it does, because it means really not only the leaks are fixed, but with that the pressure being high means that the DPF was really struggling to do its job. And now with a force regen, I hope to do one. If I'm not able, I have a way to do it without removing it. And I hope in the sense that that happens, so I can show you how to do it. Many of you seem to have a difficulty here on the ECU. What do I do on the ECU? Which ECU do I use to do certain things? Let me see if I can show you the way to do it, okay? So we have here the model 159. I want to enter 159. Now I want to choose the engine that this car has. And this car has the 8-valve multijet one. And in this way, I can choose to pick one control unit. The car has several, okay? Or I can choose to do a auto scan. The car controls all of the control units. As the car was with the battery off, I like to do an auto scan to scan all the control units, to at the end erase the fault codes because of the battery, okay? So the car now is doing a complete passover on all the control units. I have here the parking, I have the doors, I have the cluster, I have the boot, the climate control, the airbag, I have now the steering, I have several things. So the first approach here on this auto scan is to see all the control units. So we have 12 control units, okay? And at the same time, the diagnosis machine reads the fault codes that are inside of those control units. Here on the engine, we have 4 fault codes, okay? But I really do not care about them. I will erase all the fault codes. I do not care about the fault codes. What I want to see on the control unit is to reset components. I want to do the reset of several components, and also I want to see the parameters that I'm reading for the DPF, for example. Now this part here is in Portuguese, but bear with me, okay? Now I choose to enter on the ECU. Inside of the ECU, I have several options, okay? I have the option to see the data code of the ECU, the version, the serial number, that stuff, okay? The version of the software, that does not matter for us. Here we can read the codes. Here we erase the codes. Here is live data. Here is active testing to test components. And here is configuration. And this configuration is where you do the reset of several components, okay? So we enter the configuration, and you want to, for example, we have here injector replacements, reading of the current injector codes, for example. We have here the replacement for the oil of the engine. I want to do that as well because the car is asking for a oil change. So the oil change, I will do a okay on this. We have to tell him, okay, now you have new oil. This information here has nothing to do with the info for the cluster, okay? It is a separate thing. Now, okay, it will ask for a power latch. That is to take out the key and wait for about 1 minute. And here is 20 seconds on this software, okay? And the car will reset the oil change. This is very, very, very crucial for the correct working of the DPF. The result was positive, so it was able to do it. Now you want to do more stuff. What we have here, replacement of the control unit and injectors, no. The sensor for the command rail, no. We have here for the MAF sensor, maybe you can do that. And we'll do also the differential, the back pressure of the DPF, we'll do that. We will do also the DPF itself. I will tell the car it has a new DPF, so it has to start on a clean slate. After this, this is the same procedure as I did here on the oil, okay, to do the other stuff. After that, and only after that, we will see the live data to see how stuff is, okay? For the replacement of the DPF, he asks for the engine start because he wants to see the back pressure, okay? Very clever, you. And it is the first time that I will start it, and it can have a rough start because of all of the stuff that I did on the engine, okay? So don't be scared if the start is very rough. These injectors are always effed up, the 8-valve ones. So continue. It does not show me, but it is showing the state of the brake pedal, the state of the clutch pedal, loose, pressed, okay, on the brake and on the clutch. I can see that. It is showing me the temperature of the water. It has to be at least 70 degrees, 70. If I have a problem with the thermostat, the regens will be affected again. This is very true on the Volkswagens, the 1.6 TDIs. The thermostat malfunctions like crazy, and then the DPF clogs up because of the thermostat. It is also true on this car. I will wait on idle. Well, the car is waiting on idle for the temperature to reach the 70 degrees to do the okay or not for the DPF, because a new DPF, if it has a malfunction or is not clean well enough, the car will say, no, that DPF is not okay. Even though you are telling me, oh yes, you have a new DPF. No, I have not. Please give me a correct DPF. So I'll try to do that. If not, let's try to do a forced regeneration. Well, wait a minute. If it does not want this DPF, it will not be possible at all to do a forced regeneration with the diagnosing machine. I have to do a little trick for the car to think it has a correct cleaned up DPF. In the meantime, I can check here for oil leaks. The car has a ton of oil leaks. I did the cam cover, I did here the seal for the camshaft, and did some other stuff over here. Okay, new gaskets all around. The exhaust leaks are all solved. The noise of the engine is very nice, very cool. It was not like this at all. Okay, let's just see if the DPF procedure is accepted or not. If so, we can continue to read the parameters. I want to read the quantity of air. I want to see also the pressure of air, and I want to see the back pressure of the exhaust. Those are the three main things that I'm going to see now on this car because of the DPF's problem. I also want to see how many kilometers I'm able to do with one regen, because now it is doing 31, and if I do more than 31, it means that my repair was successful. I'm hoping to do at least 300 kilometers to 400 kilometers with one regeneration. Okay, the machine, the Alfa machine, will tell me all of that. I do not need to see that anywhere. A perfect regeneration is completely clueless. You cannot see anything on a car. The only thing you can see is a slight increase on the MPG. The fuel consumption rises up a bit to do the regeneration, but the car itself, you cannot let smoke out, for example. You cannot have a warning on the dashboard, none of that. Okay, a perfect regeneration, you will not notice it at all. One thing that is very misunderstood on the cars that do the regenerations is once you see smoke out of the exhaust, it means that it's doing a regen. That is true, but that cannot happen. The thing is, while it's doing a regen, the engine or the exhaust is now burning something that is not supposed to be there. Well, like I told you, on the 1.3 liter multi-jet engines, we have the problem of the piston rings where the oil, well, the engine does a lot of blow-by, and now you have a lot of oil on the exhaust line. Okay, deposit oil. Once you have a request for a regen, that can be aggravated because of the clogging of that carbon and oil on the exhaust. Okay, now you have the temperature of the exhaust rising quite a bit, and then you have a burn of that oil while the car is doing a regen. The problem is not the regen, okay? The problem is the oil consumption of the engine that you now can notice while the car is doing a regen. Okay, just now I just pressed OK after the temperature on the diagnosis machine was up of the 70 degrees. Now the car decided that it's secure to do a look at that, to do a regen, so it's doing that for me. As you can see, there is oil. As you can remember, this engine has a little bit of blow-by, okay? There is oil, not diesel. So after this, the car will stop to do the regen, the forced regen. After that, the Alfa machine will tell me the regen is concluded, but it is okay or not okay, because the back pressure has to drop significantly in order to do a okay test on the DPF, like I told you on the video about DPFs and all that. Okay, just like I thought, the regeneration stopped at mid-course, and it says it's not possible to regen because the back pressure, it may be too high. So yes, I can show you my way to do it. So can you recognize this? This is the sensor for the back pressure of the exhaust of the DPF, okay? This is the hose that goes to that sensor, and I rerouted this hose to this gauge over here to see the actual pressure of the exhaust. Now on the sensor itself, I have a hose over here. Yeah, can you see? Yes, and I will introduce some pressure, just a few grams, on the sensor. In that way, the car thinks the DPF is good and allows me to do a complete regeneration or two. During the regeneration, once I have a pressure that is inferior to 500 grams or half a bar, I am glad with that, I am good with that, and now we can reconnect here the hose with the sensor and everything is great. Now about here, this intake throttle body is with the same problem, or I have an issue with the remap or wiring because it has the same symptom, does not work. Maybe I have to check out with the remap guys if I have an original map on this and go from there, because wiring on these cars is not a big issue, because the wires for it are going through here, there and all around the engine, and normally they do not fail. But yeah, I have to check that also. Better that way. So let's go here to do this procedure, okay? First step, switching on the car, obviously. I want to see the input that I'm doing with the vacuum gun, which is now a pressure gun. The input is so slight on that pressure gun, that thing over there. That is more to my advantage to see here on the diagnosis machine the amount of pressure that I'm putting in. Meanwhile, where that is charging, I can see the pressure on the exhaust. It's very low, so maybe I have almost a clean filter, because at idle I have nothing, or virtually nothing. So as you can see, my gun, the gauge is very difficult to read. Not very difficult, but the amount of pressure that I want to put on the sensor is more easy to read on the diagnosis machine. Come on! Another question that you may have about the diagnosis machine and the DPF is the percentage. I always talk about the pressure. Why don't I talk about the percentage? Because like I told you on the video about DPFs, that will lead you to a lot of mistakes. Imagine something. I have here a DPF that is almost clogged up. Imagine something, a new DPF, okay? I just put here a new DPF, everything is okay, the car does 300 kilometers or 400 kilometers between regens, and when you are to read the percentage of it, once the car is, let's say, 250 or 300 kilometers, the percentage will be near 100% clogged DPF. That does not state the condition of the DPF, it just states that it's almost time to do a new regen. It does not mean that it's time to replace it. As you can see over here on the sensor of the DPF, I have 7 millibars, okay? And I have, talking about percentage, I have 9%. Okay, so I have 5, 7. I just put just a little bit of pressure there on the gun. I can put a little bit more, but I'll try like this, okay? And next I will order another regeneration here with the diagnosis machine. I'm back here to the main menu, and I want to do the configuration, and I'll go to the, I think it is the last one, yeah. So the last one is the 4th regen of the DPF. I'll ask for one. It's telling me to shut off the engine. Now press start. So it's asking me to start the engine. Press continue, and now we wait. The temperature is above 70. You cannot touch the pedals. Eventually it will increase the acceleration of the motor of the engine, and with that it will increase here this pressure, the back pressure for the DPF itself, but the car will think that the pressure is still low because I only ordered about 7 millibars of pressure. So okay, over here, okay. The regen is in course. Now I have a percentage for the regen. Okay, so ordering down another regeneration, I'm expected to see here some huge pressure. As you can see, zero, nothing, nada. The car is trying to do a regen, but it can. This car is horribly, badly remapped. I'm sure of it. I just have to, almost sure of it, but I have to confirm with the guys. That's why the intake valve, the throttle body does not work. That's why I have no back pressure, because the DPF probably is not there. I have to check that out. But what led me to be mistaken was on the parameters, I have all of the pressures as they were supposed to be. That's why the pressures were so good, were just perfect. And I thought it was because of the exhaust leaks. But in fact it was a badly done remap. Again, another badly done remap. Oh my god. Let me check just one more thing. Let me see if that pipe over there that goes to the DPF, if it is clogged or not. That may be something. Just put the air gun down onto the hose. As you can see, it is not clogged. The problem is not on the hoses. Being this way, I have to talk to the customer, see what's what. I have to do now a full modification of the DPF system, put the blank on the EGR back in, but this time using also the correct gasket, the metallic one, on top of the blank, and try to see if I can save this. This is getting horrible, guys. So much work on this car, so much dedication, and is not getting better, not at all. And I think I have in here if oil leak, something. Maybe not. Maybe just old oil. Have to see. Okay. I hope with the correction on the remap this is enough. I hope. I truly do. Oh my god. And yes, I did test the gauge. So let's put some pressure over here. Okay, so I have on my pump 500, well, half a bar. I do this in grams when I'm working on DPFs, okay? So, as you can see, okay? As you can see, it is working correctly. No bad troubleshooting on my side, okay? So guys, here you have it. The car is back for the remap. Yes, I ordered a new remap, a original map for this car. And indeed, the car had an attempted remap on this. That's why it was so bad. The constant regens and whatnot, it's all gone. So the DPF itself was already deleted in the past. So now we have the original map only with the DPF and the EGR modification. And with that, the car is now back in business. Yes. The only thing that is still not quite good enough is that master flow meter. It suffered a bit, okay? It is natural for all the gunk that it was on it. So until the 2000 RPM mark, it is a little bit sluggish, but with that new part over there, it will be magnificent to go. Now, one little thing that is missing here is that intake throttle. It is still not working, and I cannot find for the life of me an electrical diagram to solve it. I am not terribly worried about that, because this flywheel is completely broken, the gearbox is out, it's very bad, this gearbox, and also the flywheel. So the throttle valve is not going to protect anything, because everything is ruined. But once I'm getting to that, to the gearbox and flywheel, I have to have a functioning throttle valve. What I want you to do for me, if you can find the original electrical diagram for that, I want to see if any wiring issues are here present on this car, okay? But until then, it is how the car is going to run. No issues with that for now, okay? And it is time for the customer to enjoy the car. The oil leaks are all solved, the fuel leaks are solved, and the power steering ones are kind of controlled, okay, for now. I hope you enjoyed this very long and tedious video. I know this is a lot of information to take in, yes I know, and this was a video step by step how to diagnose certain things. Even with the DPF already removed, you still have the issues that caused the problem. My idea with this was with the issue of the air filter, like it was as you've seen before, that caused several other problems with that mass airflow meter, with the restraint of the air to the engine, caused the constant regenerations maybe, and for that they tried to mend it with a remap. The remap was very bad, and with that more and more problems appeared on the car. That's why the car was for sale in the first place. Okay, guys, down on the description there are a lot of videos that can and will be useful for you. Also, there are links for help for the channel if you are able to do so. I see you next time, guys. Bye.